Welcome to the Wag Tales podcast. I am so incredibly excited. I have Bea Palya here with me, all the way. I'm assuming you're in Hungary right now.
I am, yes. Good morning, good evening. It's so exciting to be with you here.
Thank you so much, Bea. Honestly, I first came across you when I was attending the Masters conference in Oxford, on the other side of the world for me. And I
Right.
first got to see you sing, I guess, with Gabor Maté. You got to open his session. And then after that experience, I was actually so curious about what you do and what you offer that I changed all of my plans at the conference and made sure I went to your workshop.
I didn't know that. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that this little piece, 5 minutes of voice practice, can awaken so much curiosity because it is so transformational right away.
Well, to open the podcast, Bea, what I do is I ask my guest, what are you most excited about at the moment?
Oh, I teach a lot. So I have a year-long Hungarian program,
A
and
year.
I just a year long, yeah. So it's called Sing Yourself to Freedom. And I just finished with it's a big group, it's 50 people. I just finished the first part of that program, which is 6 week long. And to see the change, like I'm gonna cry right away in the second minute of the podcast because I can see how much they change just within the 6 weeks of the exercise, with the community, with the songs, and to see the liberation, the degree of liberation and transformation is just, I've been doing that for more than 10 years, but it always gives me tears. Like, how come that so fast it happens like you described?
Yeah.
Well, with my friend Gabor, I just made like, let's say 5 minutes for the opening in Oxford before he started to talk and work with you guys. But even that 5 minutes, it was so like tangible in the space and hearable specifically that with some exercise, how much we can open the voice. And by opening the voice and deepening the breath, how many things can just be liberated from the body. And so when you ask where I find myself the most excited, it's that point, like seeing this change in people from minute to minute when I teach them. Like yesterday, I gave them a 2 hour long class just to see and hear that. And I would say it's easy. Of course, it takes work, but it's so easy. So working with the voice, it's a shortcut for healing.
And why is that? Why is it so powerful?
Yes, because a great question. I love that. I just made some notes before I jumped with you in this call, but I think it's because it's inevitably connected to the body. So from the moment you work with your voice and songs without the pressure of needing to performing something or singing well, or it's not about the skill, but the connection to the body, in the moment you do that, inevitably you work with maybe deep wounds that you are not even aware of, but you work with this soma, with this physicality. And so it's so fast. Because in the moment, like let's say there is this exercise we've been doing on and on before Gabor's work and also in my workshop, like I'm Bea and I'm here. And even Megan, even now, we can do, or even our listeners, we can like with your own name, you say you are you and that you are here, and then a long sound. Let's do
Okay. I
Bea,
am Megan and I'm here.
I'm here.
Ah.
And just this, well, to cognitive message to your brain that you are you and you are, and then somatic full body resonance, it reminds you that you are you and you are in your body. So I tend to work right away with the soma, with the body, in terms of singing too, from the first moment on. And people kind of, what I hear the most is like, "Oh my God, it's so transformational! It happens! I love it." It's and it's because kind of we are sleepwalking a bit in terms of how we speak and how we sing. When in speaking, we tend to emphasize the meaning of the words, although we've been knowing that for decades now, that communication is not about the meaning of the words. I think it's like, I don't know, 20% or something.
Yeah. And the rest is body, right? Like a lot of it's body.
Body, voice.
Yeah.
So we know that, yet we emphasize the meaning of the words. Let's say you prepare a talk. Probably you don't prepare your voice, you don't warm up, you don't, maybe you do, but probably you spend like 80% more time on the meaning of what you will say. And
Yeah.
and the good and bad news is that people will anyway take your talk in their smart, not in their smart brain, but back here. So they will basically get it as emotions and
Yeah.
emotional impulses.
Yep.
Yeah. So I really see that, and when in singing, then it becomes about skills and performance, which is a beautiful thing. I am a singer. I love skills. I love technique. But I just wrote a post about the big diva's life, you know, Amalia Rodriguez and Callas. The movie Callas is out now. And so singing well, it not always means you become a more integrated person, which is sad because all these beautiful human beings and people with those kind of trainings and sets and performance and experience, they don't become integrated. So now all the information and all the work is available to join these two. Sound out, you can actually got to your wounds and heal them and find the medicine and really open up.
Amazing. So for people listening, I guess like a lot of people won't know what happened at Gabor Mate's session and what kind of led me to find you at the conference. But ultimately, as like a lot of people were arriving, you were actually performing on stage. So it wasn't listed. We didn't know that was going to happen. So we're walking
Yeah.
into this beautiful building and yeah, your voice was just penetrating and it was just beautiful while everyone's settling in. And then
Yeah.
before Gabor starts sharing, you actually got up and you got us to do that activity that we just did together. And you got us to actually sing as well. Like, so we actually like held a tune together. And to hear that in that building was just such a profound experience. And what I will say too, Bea, it was interesting because everyone's kind of, it was the first day of the conference and everyone's sort of arriving with this nervous energy. I personally was there completely by myself. I didn't know anyone. So I sat down and just sort of talked to the people next to me. And then we just shared this moment and it's like, oh, we're now here. Like we've arrived. We're ready for Gabor.
Oh my God, I have tears, you know, because I didn't put that puzzle piece together that it was the very first hour of the very first day of the conference and
Yeah.
the trauma healing conference, like the master series it's called, and Gabor was on the first day. So I didn't even, put that piece that, oh my God, it's also like tuning in,
Yeah.
common resonance. Oh my God, thank you so much for sharing this because I felt a little strange also because, okay, we are friends with Gabor. I'm gonna tell more about it later more. But then, of course, he had a good intuition because, of course, I mean, he's a genius and he goes on stage and he's on fire. He's 82, but he's on fire. But yet it was very, of course, I felt very honored that he asked me to do that. And also this piece of, voice experience, it just made people's body and mind somehow more attuned to what will come in the next 5 days.
Yes.
So I'm so happy for this feedback. So what we were doing is some fun exercise. So I didn't know how long Gabor wanted me to go, so I just started, and it's always pretty spontaneous with him. So what we did, like I remember specifically the apple exercise. Like I have a set of exercise which is called horse, honey, apple, and it's always in 3 sequences. And I always use internal images to lead the body towards a certain opening or to certain change. So I find working with internal images is one of the most efficient and fastest way to occur some change in the body. So first we were buzzing our lips, and of course many of the singing teacher does that, like, and then we put an imaginary apple in our mouth, and then we said a long ah sound. And then we tested out the song before and after. And when you've heard it in this beautiful, beautiful hall in Oxford, like I felt like everybody like, oh my God, we did that actually.
Yeah.
So some very, very basic exercises of my method help the people to really be not just in their own bodies, but with the other bodies and souls in the space. So we also sang a Bulgarian Hungarian song right away with you know, like in the morning. So it was very, and I remember Gabor sitting there and he was also doing stuff and laughing. So it was really a joyful moment for me to start.
Yeah, yeah. So it's quite funny, I guess, that you are friends with Gabor Maté, you know, and that's what led you to sort of have that moment as well. So did you want to maybe speak about how you know Gabor and some of the work
Yeah.
you've done with him?
Yeah. So we are both Hungarians, and I think we met 15 years ago, 12 or 13 years ago. And so we happened to write our books. Well, I wrote my first book at a certain publisher in Hungary, and his book was translated by them. So he came back to Hungary more and more. And I remember I was so pregnant when I first met him, and he was not that big and well known yet. So we were like 40, it was raining, and he was presenting his, I don't know which, I think it was Scattered Minds, the book Scattered Minds, and he was talking about it. And I knew about his enthusiasm towards music, specifically Jewish music, and I just made a Jewish music project. So I just went to him with my big belly and, hey, Gabor, I know you like music, so here's my music, Sephardic tunes and my own songs. And so he wrote me back right away when he listened. And so I was late with the answer. So since ever you didn't write me back. So we got friends, but then we met on and on Zoom and live. And also I love very much his wife Ray, who is an artist, a painter. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. So I always think of them like them. So Gabor's success is Ray and Gabor together, of course.
Yeah.
And Gabor says the same thing. So, and I remember specifically when I got divorced early on after my second child, the one thing he said, who is this crazy man who just divorced you? Like, I think we can only marry you. This was a funny thing. And then the same night I sang there in this, I don't know, we had a little gathering. And when I sing, I go to other places. So in Oxford, side note, in Oxford, I didn't do performance. I did like a workshop style opening, but when I sing, I really go to the other worlds. And Gabor sensed that. And I open my eyes after singing like 10 minutes, and he says, "What's to be in there?" So he got right away that I was channeling something I was half aware of. And so he knows that about me. And then our friendship became like, you know, probably I needed to take him off from my iconostas and not see him as God. So he was joking a lot. And actually, he was the person who pushed me to really go to the world and teach what I teach today.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but he was really encouraging me. And, you know, even listeners, you can hear I'm far from perfect, especially in English, but I still do what I do because I'm, you know, thanks God, I can live in the queendom of voice for the last 40 years. So I know voice. Yes, I know. And this is international.
So when you were singing in that moment and when you do sing, Bea, like, are you able to describe what it's like to go, like to sort of transport somewhere else?
Partly. Great question. I love your
And
questions.
especially in English, I'm asking you to describe it in a different language as well. So I'm giving you quite the challenge.
Even in Hungarian, it's difficult. So let me see. One part of it I can describe. So what happens in there? So first there is this song, and so I enter to the world of the song. Like let's say. Elmentem a dárka, üres sakalitka. So with my morning voice even, I enter to this song which is about a bird and it's kind of my ars poetica. So I enter to this song, and what happens in the first line of the song or first word or notes in the song is that I open that gate for the channel, for the message. So of this, I'm kind of conscious. Many times I close my eyes because it's easier, unless I'm really in a big stage when I need to connect with the people with my eyes too. But like with you, I close my eyes. So this is the first act, like I open my mouth to sound out, then I open everything I possibly can in my body. That's where the sound comes in. Like there is an exercise for that, like a stovepipe running in the axle of your body. I think we have done that during the workshop. So I open this channel in me and possibly every cells of mine. And so then I let myself go to be the channel of, I don't know, whatever wants to come down from up or up from down. It depends on our belief system. And of course, it requires a lot of prerequisites like practice and a lot of singing so that I am not keen on paying attention to technique. It's before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do my work before, I do my job before, and then when I'm there to perform, it's kind of I opening myself to all kinds of energy that want to come, just go through me. So this is the closest I can describe. And of course, it's depending on the song too, like what kind of emotion I want to channel. This is again, partly conscious. Because let's say if I want to sing for you a lullaby like sweet baby, sweet baby, God sings for you through the night. Angels wait for you in the morning light. So now I become very tender, and the only thing I was concentrate of is you on the other side of the world. And the line between us, like there is connection. So I want to send my voice through that line, through that cord, through that, I don't know, cableway or so. You can imagine however you want. And so this part is also conscious. So translating from moment to moment, I translate physical bodily sensations to sound packages. If is this,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, no, it's actually really fascinating because I was going to say it almost sounds like complete mindfulness, but it's almost like above that. Like it's a little bit more transcendent.
I keep hearing that, like my students get, okay, we should find a word what you do, Bea, for what you do, because it's not voice, it's beyond voice. They show like that. Like, thank you so much for this feedback. Yeah.
There's still not a particular word though, is there? There's not like a word to fully describe it.
Yeah, it's like we need a word. Okay, listeners, a challenge for you. We need a word which describes voice, body, energy, transcendence, breath, visionary, like I don't know, like images. So it's pretty complex, and that's why, by the way, that's why I find hard to say simple messages about what you do, because yes, it's partly singing, and of course I have a piece of a model that I created, but still, what I hear from people when they enter to my classes or to my workshop is like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Oh my God, I didn't connect that piece. Oh my God, because sometimes it's so beyond words thing that I'm working with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even I've only got to do, a 2-hour workshop with you. But I remember like sitting outside waiting for it to begin, and I was sort of like, I was quite nervous because I was like, I don't really want to sing in front of people. Like, it's
Yeah.
about singing. But it was so different to that. Like, honestly, it was a very embodied experience. It was very playful, experimental, very emotional as well. It was like there was a lot of releasing and a lot of connection with the others in the room. Like, it was just so many layers to what was actually going on. And it was way less about people listening to me singing.
Oh my God, I love this. Thank you so much because I keep on hearing that on and on when it's about singing. Should I sing in front of people? I don't want to. Should I sing well? So it's both things. It's the skills and am I good enough? Of course, then it leads to
Mm,
that question: Am I good enough? And the second is the public anxiety, like the
yeah.
shame. If I have to sound out in front of people, and what will they say? Will they judge me? So I keep hear this on and on in so creative ways. Like people keep on telling me I'm tone deaf, and I said it's physically not true because if you would be, you would not know how to speak because you learn to speak by hearing your caregiver's voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you would be tone deaf to pitch, then you cannot make that or that or that or that. So it's simply not true. So, okay, first one, you are not tone deaf. Okay, I don't sing well. Okay, let me see. In Hungarian, or I'm not singing in tune. That's the other one. In Hungarian, there are two words to describe when you are in tune. It says you are true or clean, tista, and when you're out of tune, you are not true or untrue or fake. So it's kind of
Mm,
hard to translate, but the words are tista, hamish. So you are true or not true or untrue. So when I lead people towards this maximalized presence, they start to sing in tune. Because what happens is that when they are not present, they are keep on thinking of others or other things. And so they don't concentrate the impulses that comes in through the ear. So they forgot this line between the ear and throat. So they are out of tune. They are somewhere else. But in the moment, and I just worked with someone, a person with, I mean, I would say very respectfully, beautifully traumatized. I
mm-hmm.
say beautifully because then it's uh, it's a path to heal that. So she was here and there and here and there, and in the moment she got to this presence, like this full presence, bodily, she started to sing in tune.
Mm,
And it's so like it happens on and on. Like I can see also like all the anxiety, like I don't want to sing, I cannot know how to sing, la, la, la. And then you enter to the space. And of course, I tend to work a lot in groups. It's also create a safe container in groups. So the
yeah.
connection, like I think even the first half hours we spent on how to connect to each other, to take all this shame layer down, because it's not from 1 minute to the other. And you are not an idiot if you have that. We are not an idiot. It's deeply in our history and wounds. And I mean, I can't invalidate that. I rather validate that, but I melt it in to the love of the group.
Mm. Well, I'm curious as well. Like, I'm assuming that there's like in a lot of First Nations cultures and in a lot of Indigenous cultures, like singing is just such a part of connection and of healing and storytelling, and it's sort of like we've gotten awkward about it and we've gotten funny about it, and it's all about can I perform, and it's very performance based and art based rather than expression and connection.
Yeah. And I think it's very precise what you're describing here. And I think it's pretty new, like I would say the last 70 years. So I think till the mid last century, till the 1950s, I think those communities were still alive. And I actually could still come from that kind of community because well, it was a folk singing and folk dancing group, but still we were like very naturally connected through sound and singing and dance. So
Mm-hmm.
already our bodies were moving together. But I think in everywhere in the world, this culture just naturally existed, like
Mm-hmm.
exists or existed. And when technology came, like, you know, I don't know, television and now internet, we forgot how to sound out and how to sound together. And also all these, when singing became a thing of skills and performing, people, they forgot the authentic self-expression which was connected to it. Also, an interesting piece, as you described, it was a communal thing to sing. And so in villages and tribes, no one opened his mouth if there were not a reason why. Like there was a message like, I love you, I don't love you, someone is being born, someone is dying, oh, you get married, there is an initiation ritual. So there was like a message to pass through and to carry. And so there was a song to it, or like a sound gesture, maybe sounding out, like crying or shouting, or probably you have seen Arabic women do that, or even if you are familiar with the movie Baraka, I think many of the parts was shooting in Australia too, or New Zealand, I don't remember. But so we are familiar with these rituals where sound and song is just takes natural part. And we forgot this in the last, 70 years maybe, but we can still bring it back. So what you have just described of my Oxford workshop, that is what happened. Like,
Yeah.
your body just relaxed into this communal thing. Like, oh, okay, we don't have to perform in front of each other. It's not an individualist thing. It's like a communal sounding out thing. And so I'm so convinced, and probably it's because, I'm half gypsy, and my grandfather was a great singer. Well, in the village, but he was still a great singer and a bass player. And because of my childhood, when I was singing and dancing together with my group members, this is deeply imprinted in me. And without any question, I do believe in it, that people can sing together. And wherever I perform, from Carnegie Hall to Kennedy Center to, I don't know, Covent Garden in London, people just sing together. And they don't believe, like, I do tend to work with business people too, and they are like, people will really sing together? Yeah, you will, just trust me.
Yeah.
My hardest was like very serious soldiers. Like, I needed to perform for them, all this. They were singing from the second moment on. Of course, there are things I do for it. Like, first, I see people, I hear people sounding out already before I enter the stage. So I trust that in you and in everyone else, unless you don't have any obstacle in the organs, you can do that. So I go there with this mindset that you can sound out. And then I do some things here and there, some softening, some loving container creating acts, and then it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bea, I'm really curious as well because, like, obviously we were playing with voice and playing with singing, but there was a lot more to it than what we're talking about here as well. Because you sort of shared a few little hints that when we experience trauma or when we suppress things, we tend to sort of lose our voice or speak differently, or like kind of withhold what we want to say, or don't project our voice in the same ways. Because even that Apple activity, like you're even saying, like, we just don't project with full power from our voice, and often those experiences block that. So there's like a lot of kind of healing of that through the singing, but even just in speaking, like, I was just curious if you wanted to sort of dive into that side of it as well.
Yes, it's a beautiful topic. So the way I tend to work with that is first the physicality. So first the body. So there in Oxford, in the first hour of the first day of the Oxford conference, I didn't talk about trauma and wounds and everything. I just take it as a playful activity, like we are innocent, beautiful children playing together. So the reason I tend to work a lot with images is that, like you mentioned the apple, everybody can imagine an apple and in a visionary little play, put it in their mouth. Everybody can do that. And then the sounding out is the people themselves are the most surprised how big voice they have. But I don't talk about trauma and everything. But of course, in my work and courses, yes, we got to that piece. But still, before that, I lead my students and clients through the physical voice elements. Like I have a little I have a little poem I wrote. High and low, fast and slow, soft and loud, break and sound, steely or velvety, melody or monotony. So it talks about the elements of the voice. So it's pure physical things still, like fast and slow, high and low, fast and slow, like pitch, tempo, high and low, fast and slow, soft and loud, volume, break and sound. The use of the silence, which is a big thing. Then steely or velvety, so it's tone, like how you use your voice, which tone you use. And melody or monotony, even when you speak, it's a very valuable term, like sometimes you speak that, or sometimes you speak that. So we still stay first at the physical voice, and we tend to talk about finding our own voice, finding an own voice. This is a term we hear on and on, especially in the world of trauma. But what the heck does it mean? So in my world, finding our own voice in a physical and in a symbolic sense is deeply intertwined, like they are dancing together. So you cannot find your actual voice without having your inner truth and knowing it. And the other way around, you cannot speak if your inner truth is not settled, or you don't know what is inside. Sorry, maybe so the other way around. So these two is deeply intertwined. So I go first with the physical part. So I always, like I did in Oxford, and then we go like, okay, let me mention three exercise or three parts or of three modalities of my method. So first, working with the belief systems about my voice. So it's like a very we became scientists, like we examine our own language. How do we speak about our own voice? So you have already shared some beautiful examples about, oh, I don't know how to sing, I feel ashamed, my voice is too weak, too harsh, too big, too raw, to that. So already these expressions and these words, the way we use language to describe our own voice is a big thing. So step by step, I have a process to collect those belief system sentences one by one.
And yeah, do we kind of explore where they come from as well? So like looking at what we learnt in childhood, like were we told to be quiet, seen, not heard, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God, beautiful examples. These are the most common ones. And many times I have a set of qualifications. How do you know that this is a belief system? First, you say them a lot. Second, probably you hear them inside on your mother's voice.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a gesture even. So yes, you actually learned those when you learned how to speak. So you inherited the belief system of your mothers and great grandmothers and everyone. So yeah, it's deeply in you. It's under the skin. So in order to recognize them, you need to collect them, write them down, and know that these are your limiting beliefs. Like, oh, I cannot be louder than that. My voice is not nice. When I sing, everybody runs out of the room. These, I don't know. And so rewrite them like, what is that you want to believe? Like, my voice is weak. No. What do you want to believe? My voice is okay. Or simply, I have a voice. I can sound out the way I want. And I can be connected still. So, this is a long scientific work, and it's maybe the most mental piece of my method when we collect those belief system statements to one side of the paper, and then one by one, very slowly, very strategically, we rewrite them into positive, supportive belief systems. And well, this is one part of it. But the reason the fact that you have positive sentences doesn't mean that you're gonna use them. So we burnt
That's,
them
yeah.
into the body. So we move, we sing with those sentences like I can be heard, very crazy stuff. We
Yeah.
really dance in front of a cameras and everything. And we repeat them, of course, a lot. So this is one of the most powerful way to rewrite all the cognitive material we have, like chatter in our mind about our own voice. Then I have a more somatic experience, like actually, like Peter Levine would say, like I love his work so much. I created a process called auditive soul hunting.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. If you are familiar with the word soul hunting, it is coming from shamanism, and I got the chance to have a great teacher for so long. His name is Wilbert Alex. He already passed away, so he's watching us from the sky. But I learned a lot from him, and his master was Frank Natale. So the soul hunting process, it's basically the modern psychology. So you hunt back your lost pieces. So you go to the forest, you go to the wild, and you hunt back your lost pieces. Like I think the modern giants are, also based on that work. But I realized that through the voice, we can hunt back these lost pieces of us and reintegrate them into the circle. So in this process, we become cave people, and we roar. Then we become babies who shout and cry for milk for her life. Then we become sexually freed, liberated people. Then we become wolves. Wolves because I love Clarissa Pinkolesty's The Women Who Run with the Wolves book, and it was a big liberation for me. So
I've actually
especially,
got like a wolf tattoo. I don't know if you can see it.
oh my God.
It's two wolves. It's
Okay.
like they're mirrored. Because
Okay.
I'm very connected with wolves as well.
So this raw wildness in another way, like connected to the moon, and it's like, ooh, this yowling sound. So we do that, but of course it's a long preparation and long process. And I had a friend, a beautiful woman, a student of mine, even twice she made the course. She's psychotherapist and neuroscientist. And she said, well, my most transformational experience went through psychedelics and your auditive soul hunting process. Because what it does, it really switch off your neocortex, so the smart brain, the prefrontal cortex, and you let yourself go with the sounds. And of course, I lead you through. And so this is another very powerful place. And after that, when people just reconnect to this raw power in them, their speaking voice become different. So your original question was about speaking. So when you know all this, that you can roar, you can hum in a most tender way, or you can scream in a more erotic way, when you have these permissions inside, and not just the permissions, but the actual experience, then your speaking voice sound more round. And also, if you know the element of the voice, then you become like a painter. Like, okay, let's paint a sunrise. Oh, it's red, right? So I need to put most red. Oh, I need to perform in front of 1,000 people. Let's put some more steely, or let's put some more maybe deep tone voice. Or even though I'm commanding the room, I'm still melodious. So people can connect to me, and they don't hear me as a commandant or I don't know, even bitchy for women. Like they still see me like melodious, like a live person, but somehow command the room. So knowing the element of the voice and having the experience very much in the extreme in terms of how to use your voice helps you to come back when you speak in a very, very centered place, and you say what you want.
Oh, it's so interesting. So
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. Because I can even imagine just even working through those limiting beliefs and then having that experience. Like you'd just be smashing those limiting beliefs away.
Of course, it takes a while. Oh my God, I love that. It takes a while, but it really works. Even it works very fast. Also, there's another exercise when I realized that when I teach singing and very like technically difficult songs to my students, I tend to work with my body and explaining things with my hands, like let's say, um, sorry, Chilak talan shetitiye. So these ornaments can be explained musically, like what are the notes, or I lead them to do some hand gestures, like because basically these old ladies who were singing these folk songs weren't musicologists. They translated physical body sensations to sound. So when you do that, it's a kind of excitement from the inside. Like my babies, I have two daughters. When they were small, they were laughing like that. And so this is the excitement. So probably musical ornamentation came from that gesture. So I lead back to that gesture, my students, and also to work with the hands. So when I do that, they just got the ornamentation. And so it's so beautiful to work with the body and from moment to moment translate physical sensations to sound packages. And this is how I overcame my deep anxiety of speaking and teaching in English in front of English speaking people like yourself. By the way, for all the beautiful listeners who are non-native English speaker, just do it. I'm imperfect completely, but my emotions come through because the way I educated myself to do is from moment to moment reconnect to my body and translate a sensation into sound. Like now, I could feel my belly soften. And I created a more softened sound when I speak. So this presence and connectedness to your own body from moment to moment and translate the sensations you can have to sound means that you can speak without fillers like, I no, you slow down and you find the word, so any word. Like, I don't know what is the next word I'm going to say, but I'm connected to my body. And maybe if I really don't know what is the next word, then I keep a silent moment. And what it does, that my listeners became curious. And then I go again and again. It's basically music. So I use all the experience that I have in music, even
That
in
is
speaking.
that is such a good tip for anyone speaking a second language though and just trying to pick it up. I actually have a bit of an experience of learning Arabic, and I remember how challenging that was when I was actually in like Arabic speaking places to try not to stumble. But if I had have, yeah, just had some more knowledge around how to slow down, create space, I was probably saying a lot of ums and ahs in between at the time.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, in Arabic, probably it's also right.
Yeah, yeah.
But what you can do, silence is always a great way to keep the connection because if you take a little longer silence, like you double it, what it does, it's like maybe a little discomfort, but more curiosity.
Yeah, yeah.
And people are so afraid of silence, especially now. I have a story for that in a minute. I'm gonna tell, but it's so nice, even when you don't have like let's say so many words, like for in your case in English, you still have some words. And it comes back to that piece we were mentioning in the beginning that communication, it's not about the meaning of the words, it's about the connection, it's about the tone. So if you really don't know what to say next, you can repeat, repeat, repeat. You just said. See? Repeat, repeat, repeat what you have just said. it's like songs, you know. You repeat the refrain. So it's there are always options when you trust your body, but for that it's good to have some kind of physical exercise, and you know it's like the Apple stuff. Yeah, you take the Apple stuff even half a year later, you know the Apple exercise. So my students, horse, honey, apple, yes, we do that every day. So it's like becoming a thing in you. Like, okay, what do I do when I'm presenting in a boardroom in front of very serious men and I'm a woman and I don't find the words? Well, Apple, open your mouth and start to sound out anything. You start to say, Good morning. I came here with a lot of excitement and anxiety, but whatever it's, you know. So yes, yes, yes. So I'm so happy you brought this up to like speaking in a different language because it makes you younger somehow, even maybe a child. But it also gives the possibility and the option to be more unperfect and have less expectations in order to what to say, you know. And so you can just play with those words and those sound gestures. And another very important piece is that I lead my students to this very sweet spot between singing and speaking, like I am doing now. Am I singing now or speak? It's like this reciting. So I play with certain notes, I make them longer, but I still speak. But it's a little, sounds like little crazy, I know. Like my students used to say, oh, it's like theater. Yeah, then play. If you're an actor, then play. You see? And so after a while, they really, like, there's a healthy distance from the meaning of the words and it goes to the emotions of the sound. So,
Yeah, I remember in your workshop actually as well. I can't really remember the exact thing that I was thinking about or saying, but you were trying to get us to release, I guess it was a bit of a limiting belief, not necessarily about voice, but it was something like sort of, what are we holding on to? And you got us to just like get really playful in how we were saying it. So we were like walking around the room, singing it, saying it, shouting it, making it big, making it small. And like the meaning of it just like really changed by
yeah.
just playing with the actual way I was saying it.
Yeah, because we did how to create things with voice process, which is a 5-step process. Like first you just say it out, and this is already a say it out loud. Like sometimes we forget that to create something, it's beautiful if you have a thought, but it can be like a dream or a fleeting
Yeah.
something, and it goes away so fast. So sometimes just say it out loud, especially to someone, it can help to create or having the first step for this creation. Second, we were playing with the element of the voice we just did. Then I bring you to this reciting place when you just like do longer notes and and then we imagine we are monks and we are in a room and we are walking, and then we add movement, and in the end we add the melody and we sing some things that we want to achieve on a beautiful melody, and it will be a thing then. La 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 la. So I really, and I have beautiful, beautiful examples I tend to work more with women, but beautiful stories about how they could climb maybe on a ladder step by step in their work just because we were singing and we were sweeping away those limiting beliefs. Or I don't know, reconnecting to their mothers, to their children after decades of non-speaking. So I have so beautiful proof that what I do, and it's not the I part that is important, the voice, the sounding out part, which is so important, is it works. And there is maybe the last piece which we didn't do so much, but I'm also a songwriter. So I know when you own your story, you can rewrite them the way you want. So basically, you were asking also questions about storytelling. I am a storyteller. I love fairy tales and I improvise all the time. I tell stories, and I'm also in the improv theater games. But also in songwriting, what I do is I take the courage to rewrite my life. And so I have a process in the last part of the program, and it takes really a lot of preparation because people have specifically, like when I say you're gonna write a song, like, oh, I don't. They say, of course you will. There is a process. Just fill up the buckets. There are like 6 empty buckets. Just fill up with things, step by step. And so they do the songwriting part. They own their own story, so they collect material by free writing, sharing. Then they are kind of doing an editing work, like emphasizing certain words and topics. Then they find a title, then they have a song map that they draft, and then they find melodies by moving their bodies, and then there's also metaphors and images that they bring in. So they happen to write a song about their deepest wounds and traumas, and then they are like, oh my God. One of them wrote a goodbye song for loneliness. And since ever, she got a partner, she has a community. Or the other one, like about, meeting someone's expectations. Her song was about circles within circles within circles. And she wrote to me a beautiful, beautiful thing and testimonial after the songwriting process. Oh, Bea, I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I was writing and working on my song. But when I have done it, I slept like a baby. And so it's not about how perfect the song is, it's about the journey to that leads to that song, to this original song. And it cannot be other but original because it's their own story. And of course, I lead them to really make the story with a positive outcome, so with a change in the end. And it's just happening on and on. So I really need to write this down because, and with the simple purpose of healing, not to perform, not to have an audience, not to, like, we hear that so much in the music business. Everyone is writing song, and we hear that, like, how you can do an income about songwriting and and how you can perform. Not about that. Your own healing, it's in the focus, and it's just happening.
Powerful.
Like, and it works 100%, like 100%. I haven't found one student who has done it who didn't have a great change in their lives.
Amazing.
Without really actually analyzing for long the trauma part, like with words, I mean. Yes, some part of it you bring it up in the free writing, but you don't have to know step by step what happened to you.
Yeah.
It's important, and probably I'm not saying that this work is not valuable in any kind of talk therapy or other therapy systems, but in my program where we work with voice and songwriting, it's kind of becoming a shortcut because it's your voice is connected to your body. Second, it's because in the songwriting process, you immediately make it more concise. You immediately surround it with images. So immediately the essence come up. And you might know information about your wound, you might not. You might just know a physical sensation of it. But what you bring up and write song about is this essential part. So I really find it fascinating, and basically this is how I heal myself. So it's not on purpose, and I'm not there yet. It's an unfolding, ongoing process, but it works.
Well, I was actually going to ask, like, what do you do to take care of yourself when you're supporting all of these people through this process as well? But I know you're going to be using your voice and singing as part of it. But do you have other things as well that you do to sort of nurture yourself while you're leading so many people through this?
Oh, thank you for this question because it's very actual now because I'm going through a difficult period of my life lately. And so I really need to use my modalities to heal myself. And how crazy it can sound, but I started to use my own method on me, which is, I know I hear that from teachers when you create them and learn this to, teach to this to people. You are not specifically concentrate on yourself. Like I created a lot of exercise and a lot of exercises and a lot of modalities and the whole method in the last 4 or 5 years. And some of them I just didn't try out that many times on me. And so lately when I wasn't that well, I started to use like I'm Bea and I'm here, or all these apple horse honey sequence and other things. So it's really a powerful thing, especially in my English path, English speaking, English teaching path, because I'm younger there and maybe less confident. So I really needed to use all these exercise on me. So this is one thing. Second is that I'm also being held in other communities. So I hold people and communities, but also I know the necessity of being held in small groups of women. Let's say I'm in therapy, but it's not always deep therapy. It's more like supervision to what I do, because I don't think we can teach people without having an eye from the outer world. And so I trust my therapist in that. And I also do a lot of things with my body. So I see water jumping, I go to the icy water and I work with the cold. So I haven't been wearing a coat for 7 years now.
I do a lot of cold therapy as well.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do breath work. I do different kind of movement, like I do yoga, I do dancing, movement medicine, beautiful modality from Yakov and Susanna Darling, and beautiful, beautiful thing. And my main teacher is David Mooney, who is also actually working with Lakota and Dakota people. So he's very, very important teacher of mine. Sexuality, I use it as a healing modality too. And I have the chance to have a great partner for that. And when I talk about that, it's really noble and sacred.
And it's not spoken about enough in the healing world. It's another thing where we get shame and we get funny and we don't speak about it.
In my Hungarian program, the part 3 is sexuality and voice. And many people like, when we get there, Of course, and I connect those two. But this is energy work, and very like I work with songs again, and I have different songs for different organs, like sexual organs. Well, all organs are sexual, but specifically the womb songs and ovaries song for women, and also I try to do that for men as well. So yeah, sexuality, I use it as a healing modality, and like sometimes just breathing into each other's heart and genitals with my partner can be so healing. So sexuality is not what we think, like this some body parts goes into some other body parts in the other person and that's it. No, these are like energies, and it's much deeper. I'm pretty much into the work of the Taoist sexuality work of Mantak Chia. And now Mantak Chia, the master, is on YouTube. So please Google Mantak Chia and it would be so nice to see all the teenagers instead of porn looking for Mantak Chia, searching for Mantak Chia's videos, which is not happening yet. But I think if you are familiar with Peter Levin's work, and we just mentioned him, maybe in these years he will write something about sexuality. He talked about that with Amy Simon in a Sounds True interview, and I'm so, Peter, please do that. This is so much needed, and I know many of other beautiful minds are exploring that, but porn does a lot of harm for I have a teenager child, so it's like So yes, so I use sexuality as a healing modality. Maybe lately I should go back there. And because go to sex land sometimes it's not an easy step. It doesn't come from itself, and it's a conscious choice to go there. So I just make a commitment to you and to your listeners that I'm gonna go back more to sex land than lately. But it's still in the set of my yeah, healing modalities. And also, there is a thing that we do with my partner, which is a specific communication type. It's called imago dialogue. It's from Harville and Helen Hendricks, beautiful couple who works with couples for decades now. And they created the imago system and the imago dialogue, which is a very regulated way of talking, very annoying for the first time because it's very slow. You repeat word to word, you mirror back the partner's word, and then you summarize, then you validate, then you see, then you say what kind of emotions you heard. So it's a very specific way of communicating, and we do that like on a weekly basis with my partner. So basically, these are, and spending time in nature and spending time with my kids. Well, the teenager doesn't want to do that much anymore, but I have an 8-year-old with whom I can still do the evening fairy tale and having a painting hour or just simply being together in the same room and breathing together. So basically, these are the ones that I do and surround myself with a lot of loving friends. Not a lot, but like deep, loving friendships.
Sounds like a beautiful variety. Love it.
I try.
Well, Bea, we're getting close to the end of our time. I could speak to you all day long, honestly. Well, all night long for me, it's night. But to end a podcast, I always ask my guests 5 questions just to sort of close off. Are you ready if we do those 5 questions?
Yes, I'm ready, but I made a promise to you in the beginning, so I just take maybe 30 seconds before that.
Let's
So,
do it.
are
Let's
you
do
in?
it.
Let's do it. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Do you remember that song?
It was right at the end, wasn't it, of your workshop?
Yeah, or let's go to something different, which is easier. You are not alone. You are not alone. Come.
I do remember this one.
Okay. You wanna come? Maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe. It's if it's a little maybe, then I can lead you to. You say you are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You
You
are not alone.
you
You
are
are not alone.
beautiful. You have a great ear. Thank you so much. Amazing.
For those
Thank
listening,
you.
as soon as we jumped on the call, Bea was like, I'm going to make you sing, by the way.
But thank you so much for this vulnerable. Let me really honor your vulnerability because I can feel on your body language that, oh my God, this is singing. And thank you for overcoming of it. And I hope it wasn't too much.
Oh,
So,
it wasn't too much. That's okay.
okay. Thank you. So here now I'm ready for your 5 questions.
Perfect. The first question is, what did you want to be when you were a child?
Oh, I always want to be a singer and a dancer.
I'm not surprised. You can feel that it's just totally in you. Like,
It was my escaping path too.
yeah. The second question is, what are your 2 top values? If you could just choose 2.
Connectedness, care, community, warmth. Yes.
Love it. Love it. The third question is actually a bit silly, but you might really connect to this one. It's if you were going to have a boxing fight, what would be the song that they play when you walk to the ring?
Okay. Rising up, back on the street. Da-da-da-da-da-da. With the distance now, I'm back on my feet. And the man with his will who survives. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the prey of the night. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, rivals. And da-da-da-da-da. So the song from Rocky, Eye of the Tiger, it's deeply in my childhood. Sing.
It's perfect, honestly. I love it.
Thank you for the silly question. I'm gonna win.
You will with that song. The fourth question is if you could collaborate with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh my God. In music, it could be Johnny Mitchell, but I would be probably intimidated. She is a goddess. And in the healing work, it would be, well, Gabor Maté, Terry Real, and Peter Levine.
Oh, amazing. And look, you've been on the same conference as two of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much. And the final question, Bea, is if you could make one recommendation as a step that anyone can take towards healing, what would it be?
Okay. I think I will gonna give a framework to this conversation because I would say the very same thing we have done in the very beginning. Like, I'm Bea and I'm here. Ah, just that. And repeat it 3 times in the morning or before you go to a specific event where you feel like emotionally stressed. Just this could help so much because after all this healing work is about being present. And this exercise, like I'm Bea and I'm here with your own name, of course. I'm Bea and I'm here. Ah, this can help you so much. And the second thing I would say is trust your body, trust your sound. If you don't know what to say, just open these beautiful pieces of meat here, the lips, and just say, something, just give a deep sigh. I don't know what the heck I will say, but I'm going to say something. So liberate or open the channel which is inside your body. So I'm Bea and I'm here, and trust your body. Give a sound, even if you don't know what to say next.
Beautiful. And I can imagine a lot of people listening going and trying that I'm here, like just really giving it a go.
Yeah, and it gives me so much hope because my mission is really to make people sounding out from their authentic core self. And this is not an easy thing because life just gets in the way and we were heard not to. We thought not to do that. And it's so liberating and so loving and so connected. And so maybe that's how we can create a new world.
I love
Yeah,
it.
because when you sound out, it's not just you. It's not just about you. When you sound out, it gives your nervous system relaxation. Well, I'm heard, so I can listen others more with more attention. So it's not just about you sounding out, but it's also hearing the other more. And this is the relaxation you want to go in your conversations or even in the bigger picture when you talk to people and when you hear others. So sound out to hear others better.
Love that. Bea, is there any way people in Australia can work with you, can find ways to connect with you?
Yeah, so for now, for my international community, I work online. So my course just started, so it's too late to join. But in the fall, I will teach again my Unleashing Your Authentic Feminine Voice 6-week long course. So I send you the link, and I'll be in Oxford again. So the master series this year. So if you feel like flying to the world, flying over the oceans and come to the master series conference, I really recommend doing that because this year Gabor Maté and Esther Perel are the headliners, and I think Richard Swartz again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be there opening for Gabor for a longer set of exercises, and I'm gonna teach a workshop as well.
Amazing. Well, I'll definitely put some of those links in the show notes so people can find all of that. So thank you so much, Bea. I'm so grateful that you jumped online this morning to have this session, to sing, to share all these amazing practices that people can now go and try as well.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, my listeners. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I'm sleeping.